right, all right, all right. Once again, it's on. Brethren and sisterin, comrades, friends, enemies, and those listening on assignment. Definitely want to appreciate you tuning in to the Life Malcolm Show. We're going to work at saying a lot of stuff today. So going to do the best I can to be as organized as possible as we move through this. First thing I want to say, I got to say, be remiss if I did not say, victory to Palestine. Long live the sisters, brothers, comrades, and allies in Palestine who right now are under the most heinous attack and assault by the white settler colonial state, illegitimate state of Israel. And anybody who's down with what's going on right now in Israel, with the violence that's happening, not in Israel but in Palestine at the hands of Israel. Anybody who's down with that are all the people who are down with that are the kinds of monsters that the people of the world must struggle diligently from whom to rescue ourselves. Let me say that better. They're all monsters. Anybody down with it are monsters from whom the people of the world must struggle daily and diligently to rescue ourselves. So we're not going to talk a whole lot about Palestine today, although it merits discussion. It's just that there are a lot of things. I mean, Palestine, unfortunately, what Israel is doing and what white settler colonial states all across the globe do to colonize people all the time is not going to change anytime soon, it seems. So we got to struggle diligently and hard, but in the meantime, right now, find out everything you can. Go to apsp.org, go to apspuhuru.org, go to Black is Back coalition.org, and wherever you can find information about how you can hook up with organizations and people who stand with the Palestinian people against this awesome aggression and violence the people of Palestine face right now. So I just wanted to get that out the way off deck. And I know it's my custom to say at the onset that I am so grateful and appreciative for this program, this platform, and it's my custom to express my deep and profound appreciation for DJ CEO and Mrs. DJ CEO, aka Tampa Bay Tammy, and I'm gonna do that all the time. But I wanted to start off, wanted to make it clear that right now, at this point in time, although we are not going to spend much time discussing what's happening right now in the place they call the Gaza Strip and thereabout, although we won't spend much time talking about it today, I did intend to make sure that the listening audience understands that our solidarity, unity, support is with the Palestinian people in their struggle for survival right now, and certainly in their struggle for freedom. All right. So there are several things we got to say today. That's not one of them. Let me find out what that is. Okay. All right. We got to trying to figure out how to, get y'all. It's not me. I mean, it is me. It's not my producer. It's me. So don't blame my producer. It's me just trying to get it together behind the scenes so that people can, I can try to catch up with comments and what have you. My super duper producer, DJ ANA, got my back. She snatch the machine out of my hands so we can get it together. So we'll be all on the Facebook in real time together very shortly. All right, so by now, oh, let me ask this question. I guess anybody know what today is? Oh no, DJ, cut the music. Let me say this. Tune in to www.intouchnews.com if you're not already there. Right? Of course, you if you're listening directly, you might be, but you might be eavesdropping, overhearing. Thank you so much. You might be eavesdropping, overhearing, or something like that. What's going on, and want to know who they listening to, and how can I get in touch? And so you just go to In Touch News, www.intouchnews.com, and you can pick up the Life Malcolm Show on your own, and you can leave comments and what have you. You can go to Facebook and join some live discussion there through the chat. Also, you can call in 813-444-9588. Call in, and you might have seen a post of mine earlier where I alluded to the things I intend to discuss on the Life Malcolm Show today. And one of those things is white people who are compelled all the time to invoke my dead ancestors' names in order to promote their white agenda. I want you to call in. I don't want you like to get into some kind of Facebook banter battle with me and all that kind of stuff, and that give you too much time to go do your little Google search and come up with some information that kind of make you look like you know what you are talking about when it comes to African people. No, you don't hide up under the veil of the veil that technology provides for you. Call in. You got so much to say about African people. You want to call dead Africans' names to promote your agenda. And I'm going to talk about something specifically because this weekend was a hell of a weekend for me, y'all. I learned a lot this weekend. And, and so I want to share something. But one of those things is, just how white people just so flippantly and casually, just invoke Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. and others. So we're gonna see how we're gonna quiz them, see what they know, if they know anything at all. Because we found out this weekend on another radio program I did with my man Walter L. Smith II, called the Sunday Forum. He invited me on the show so we can have a conversation. You and I, gonna get into some of that discussion because that was a good discussion as well. We're gonna talk about that. But man, some white people called in so arrogant, gonna tell us how we're supposed to feel about our colonial circumstances, tell us stuff about Dr. King and all that. So I just wanted to I want white people who love to tell me about my dead ancestors and use my dead ancestors to promote their white agenda to their white advantage. And I know I keep saying white, and some white people had something to say about that Sunday. I'm gonna clear that up too, because some people, white people, will even Africans will use tricky talk. And if you don't know what you're talking about, they'll make you think you're saying things that you actually, in fact, are not. So we're gonna deal with that. So yeah, call in, get your phone, call in. Don't be a stranger. And if you can call in, even if you're not one of those people. But I just want those people to get a head start. I don't want them to be left out of the opportunity to stand face to face with the African working class who has the benefit of African internationalism. So, call in 813-444-9588. Do you ask what today is? Yes, Ernisa, it's a rhetorical question. Well, not just what today is. She like, today is, we're leading up to something today. We just passed historic occasion we all should recognize, which is, of course, the bombing of the Move headquarters in Philadelphia, the Move House in Philadelphia. I believe that was like, what, May 13th. And so that just happened. But of course, you should know that today is Malcolm X Eve. Yes, 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 yes. Malcolm X was born in 1925, May 19th, 1925. And he would have been, what's that, 90, 94? No, what is that, 90, 96 today? Is that right? Yeah, 96 today. I mean, no, not today, tomorrow. I said tomorrow already. He would have been 96 tomorrow, huh? Yeah, he would have been 96 tomorrow had bandits not cut him down when he was just 39 years old. So, it's an exciting period to be alive, to have the blood of my ancestors coursing through my veins. Talked to an African one time. African told me, look, brother, you don't have no time to be tired and feeling sorry for yourself in a certain kind of way like you out here doing too much. He said, look, brother, our ancestors worked hard all the time. You understand? And so I'm so delighted to have the blood of hard-working Africans coursing through my veins as we remember those sisters and brothers in the MOVE organization, and of course as we get ready to commemorate our dear brother Malcolm X. So over the weekend, a lot of things. Well, I say over the weekend, but since we last spoke, there's this African named Corey Pujols. I'm not really sure how he says his name, but Pujols. Young African, 27 years old, working a job, manager at the Dunkin' Donuts, the place the police supposed to love. That the donut place, right? And this white man, 77-year-old white man, has some kind of problem with, so he says, with some lack of service, whatnot, while in the drive-through of this particular Dunkin' Donuts, where Corey does a good job making sure that the police get their dunking on. And so the white man comes into the store. He get out the driveway, comes into the Dunkin' Donuts and confronts Corey and calls him the word that sounds like nigger. And Corey said, well, say it again. And with every slave owner's spit and slur and with the titty milk of my grandmother on his lips, he looks Corey in the eye and say, nigger. This awful, horrible, nasty word when it comes from the lips of the vicious oppressor whose grandfather was, probably jumping up and down on top of Corey's grandmother at one point in time. He says it to Corey, and you know what Corey did? Corey laid him flat. So they say. I don't know. Allegedly laid him flat. Reached back 1,000 years. The criminal report affidavit said it was a right hook. And doggone it, I agree. It was a right hook. Right, meaning it was correct. Laid him out. And after a while, as the story goes, the old white man died. And you know what the police did to Corey? For defending himself, for standing up for himself, for protecting himself against this interposition of this nasty white man, they put him in jail. Now, on the one hand, y'all remember the police, and we're going to go to break after this, but y'all stay with me on the Life Malcolm Show so we can talk a little bit more about this. You remember not too long ago, the police fired an African for saying the word that sound like Negro, because it's supposed to be so bad. Bad word, bad. Got to fight. He can't even say it out of some kind of colloquial, deal with his own people kind of way. It's so bad. But then this African who stood up for his mother, grandmother, and everybody else who's ever been oppressed and attacked by that word, stood up for himself against that kind of viciousness. And them same police took that brother to jail. Yeah, yes they did. All right, we're going to be back and talk a little bit more on the Life Malcolm Show. I'm feeling kind of Malcolm X-ish up in here. And, so get ready, man. We finna go on the ride. 813-444-9588. We'll be right back on the other side of the break.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecue? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
Call in and tell a friend to listen in.
Listen up.
It's In Touch Radio, reality radio.
All right. Man, the comments are coming in. I appreciate that. Look like it might be, some interesting discussion to some. I appreciate you tuning in. I really do. Right here on the Life Malcolm Show on In Touch News, where everybody is a star and the biggest star is you, especially if you call in. Call in. 813-810. Oh, that's my number. Yeah. Because you can call me. I'm with it. But right now, I want everybody to hear what you have to say. 813-444-9588. Call on in. And so before the break, we talked about how hypocritical the society is, the society that's guarded by the gun, by police, all in your community. Talking about how they here for you, here for me, here for us, right? Protect and serve. And some of us Africans ignorantly believe that it applies to us. Even when the African that works with the police, on the police force for almost a decade of his life, right? Says a word, Negro, with a different kind of context, connotation, what have you. The police won't protect this African's job, won't protect his way of life, won't protect this African, right? Then on the other side of that same nasty coin, those police won't protect the African from the white man in the Dunkin' Donuts who says the word that rhymes with Negro with nothing but hate, viciousness, a history of barbarism behind it. They won't protect this African. No, they lock the African up and take him to jail. I just wanted to point that out to y'all. And so I'm still waiting on those phone calls. But if they don't come in, there's no worries. We still have plenty to say without their participation. I'll talk about my man, Walter Smith, who invited me to come talk on his show and talk about, he wanted to talk about the apparent conflict, or maybe not apparent, maybe not so apparent, or you might say apparent. Maybe not so apparent. But the once pointed out the seemingly obvious conflict with African people owning, possessing, using stuff like cell phones and computers because of the resources that white people steal from Africa in order to create these types of devices. Not only that, children, African children, white people force African children to work in mines, in not only unsafe but like life-threatening conditions for little or next to nothing in order to extract these minerals and resources used in cell phones and computers. Beryllium, cobalt, bauxite, what's that, coltan, columbite, and tantalite. I was trying to think of the two minerals that they use to combine to make coltan. Oh yeah, not to mention copper, right? And so Walt called me up. It was late, I think Saturday night. Called me up and said, "Brother Life, what about this? You know, I feel some kind of way. Why should we, you know, how can we reconcile?" I think that's the word Walt used. How can we reconcile using these instruments that children in African minds produce, that white people steal our resources to produce? And I told him, well, reconcile it like this, dear brother. It's our obligation to take every tool the colonizer has, everything the colonizer takes from us, it's our responsibility to take it back, pick it up, and use it against him. Can I get a witness? I mean, I appreciate those enslaved Africans who were on the plantation in the cotton field with the shovel that we made, you understand? And when they got a chance, they picked up the shovel and whacked the slave master across the head. We got to use the tools that we can't, the same tools they use against us. We got to get them. Like I'm told that African women would take glass. You know, we didn't have no glass. We had to drink out our hands, out the ladle, maybe right out the trough, like a horse or a cow, or something like that. But sometimes the African women who were in the house, they could get by the colonizers' glassware, and they take the glass and crush the glass up and put it in Master's food. And before you know it, Master's guts was in bad shape, and he went on about it here. You know, you got to use. So I mean, yeah, it's a damn shame that colonizers steal our resources and steal our labor. But when we have the opportunity to take control of those resources, we ought to be prudent and prepared enough to use those resources for the purposes of doing what we got to do to the colonizer to get free. I'm told that African sisters who used to have the babies, you know, the colonizers' babies, that they would find the colonizers' hat pins. You know, the hat pins that you stick in your hats. You know, we ain't had no hat pins. Probably didn't, you know, even have hats. But the African sisters would find the hat pins and stick the hat pins in the baby's brain, in the head through the brain of the baby. No blood, but instant death, so that the baby couldn't grow up to be the kind of colonizer his parents were. And so that was my thing to Walt. We have to figure out how to use these cell phones and this technology and every other thing the colonizers take from us everything that the colonizers produce at our expense from our resources, both human and material, and use it in a way that pushes us closer to freedom. I'm still waiting for the call from those. I mean, they all on social media talking about how they how they love Malcolm. Let me tell you why I wanted this conversation to happen today. With the conversation being the white people call in and tell me about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and who else they like to talk about, Angela Davis and that's the one they like, and I don't know, I don't know who they like to say, but I know those come up all the time, right? And so this I'm having this discussion on the radio with Walt, and this colonizer calls in and says, I don't know, I mean, why are you guys just racializing everything? You're just racializing everything. It's no longer white and black. It's now the haves and the have-nots. And you're just racializing everything. And so after he went on his little tirade, I was able to help the audience understand that the reality is this colonizer doesn't listen well, and he's not well read. And I say that because anybody who knows me, anybody who's heard me talk, even in this program, has not yet heard me say anything about racism. I don't care about no racism. Who cares about racism? Whether the white people like you or the white people don't like you, or how something that's going on in some white person's head. What? That's no intelligent battlefield. There's no way to measure how you get closer to freedom. How some white person feels in their head about you. No, that's all racism is. I'm always talking about colonialism, the struggle for power, the struggle for power against power. We got to struggle against power for power, right? And so I don't have no racialized conversation. I mean, just because I say white and almost interchangeably with colonizer, that don't make me some kind of racist or racialist or whatever this corny kind of guy was trying to say. I mean, that's like, imagine if I said a dog bit me, or if I said a pack of dogs bit me, or if I said a pack of stringy-haired, pointy-nosed, blue-eyed, dog-smelling dogs bit me. Some dog lovers gonna say I hate dogs. I'm a dogist or something like that, And then if I tell you, or if you tell me that the dogs bite you, and I say, when you tell me the dogs bite you, and I say, well, the dogs keep biting me, and I say, well, kill the dogs that bite you and bite me. The dog lover's gonna say, well, you shouldn't say things like that about the dogs. You should pray for the dogs that spitefully bite you. You should, the dogs just need more training. All dogs, whatever, dogs' lives matter, That's what they'll say. And if I talk like that, I wouldn't be called, somebody who hates dogs. The dog lovers would invite me to sit on their panels as a guest. The dog lovers would invite me to talk at their schools. All the while, we're getting bit. The dog lovers, they'll be all right with that. So we're going to go to break. And on the other side of the break, I told you, the colonizer who called in talking about the haves and the have-nots. We're going to deal with that class question when we get back. We're right here on the Life Malcolm Show. Stay tuned. www.lifelmalcolm.com. InTouchNews.com, where everybody is a star and the biggest star is you. I'm waiting on your call, y'all. 813-444-9588.
Ask Ricky, you need medical or a lawyer? I got the man to do the legwork for you. We tried the other ones before, so believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay, call Ricky, he coming. He taking care of state of Florida, grab a pen or sundown. 184-361 Rick. That's 184-361-425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, plus your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361 Rick. Call Ricky, ask Ricky is a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and getting you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361 Rick. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
When it comes to reality radio, everyone is a star.
I know that's right.
On your smooth soul and R&B station.
On the World Wide Web.
Access granted.
In Touch Radio.
All right. Welcome back to the Life Malcolm Show right here on In Touch News. I hope you've enjoyed the program so far. Tell your people to tune in, call in, share this piece of political education with them. So I just talked about, they called me a doggist if I say the dog bite me and the dog bite me, and I say the dog bites you and the dog bites you, and I say the dog just keep on biting and me, you and me, right? And I say, well, kill the dogs. The dog, some dog lover is gonna say something wrong with me, not something wrong with the dogs biting and me wanting to get the dog up off me. Yeah. But I also mentioned that this same colonizer had something to say about in addition to this fabricated concept, I'm some kind of racist because I point out colonial conduct handed down by the colonizer. He gonna tell me he's some kind of history revisionist. I hate history revisionists. That's another thing that I want to talk about because I had something like that happen to me this past weekend. And somebody gonna try to revise history, gonna try to act like I ain't who I am. But like I don't know. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm glad that the record, people have an enigmatic way of forgetting things, but the record righteously recalls, and we're gonna talk about that next week. But this colonizer gonna say, well, see, now it's the haves and the have-nots, and you have some billionaire white people, and you have some billionaire black people too, and so now they're the colonizers. And you have some poor white people, just like you have poor African people, and now they're the colonized. Call out here, I'm going to make this point, then I'm going to bring you in. And I imagine that. Because some Negro got some money, now he the colonizer. Obviously, this colonizer don't understand history and social development and historical materialism, because if he did, he would know that that the world is made up of the development of nations and not based on the success of some individual or another. We got him? All right. Okay, caller, call back. I just wanted to make the point. We got you. Just call on back. I promise I'll answer as soon as you do. Caller? All right, caller, come on in.
Hey, my brother.
Caller, hold on, caller, hold on. Can't hear you all the way yet. All right, go ahead.
My brother, I'm going to get listen to how some blacks out of West Tampa and played in Georgetown Forest, the former state attorney. But I never tell that during his 16 years of being the state attorney, all the blacks that were killed by the police department, and most of some were shot in the back. Martin Chambers, the biggest riot in Tampa in 1967. We have people in West Tampa, particularly Joe Robinson, that they want to make E.J. Styles a hero. And how can he be a hero when every time a black was killed, that he ruled it justified homicide? His present state attorney, Andrew Warren, that we have in Tampa right now, I give him credit for putting on a great show. That's all it is with the wrongful conviction board that he has put on. And they're going to review wrongful convictions out of Tampa. But if you look at the picture, how can the fox guard the hen house when all the killing that was done, and you're going to put him on a board to review what was done to blacks in Tampa? You got to understand that you have people now that is popular to call themselves elected leaders. And brother, what you're saying to the public now, you have to really accept it coming from an older man that knows the history of that town. That most blacks in that town are scared to think what you're saying about white folks, okay? And you look at all these black kids that's being killed, and you look, and none of these black kids that are being killed have any big money been spent by the state attorney's office to investigate it. If you just look into the case of Nicholas White, who was murdered 2 years ago, his mother has, to this day, never been able to get a meeting with Andrew Warren to sit down and discuss the facts surrounding it. And then when they contact the local so-called Uncle Tom leaders in their town, they tell them, well, don't rock the boat. Hell, the boat been rocked. The boat been turned over, and it's never been in blacks' favor. You have never had a black like Mr. Moses White that could go downtown and call a hand because he wasn't trying to get some personal gain for himself. And that's what's going on in that town. And I just want to commend you and thank you for pulling the wool off what's going on in Hillsborough County. We love you, brother, and we support you all the way. We just need more young blacks like you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak, Brother Malcolm.
Brother, I appreciate you calling to say those words. I wish my DJ wasn't so enthralled by them that she would have given you that hand clap at you, because you, and I don't say that just because you said such affirmative things about me, brother. I appreciate the way you laid out history for so many people who might not be aware of the things you said. And so I'm gonna jump right back into this, right on. I'm gonna just say right on though. And I just like I said a bit ago, over this weekend, this somebody tried to play me, like what this brother says about me was somehow mythology, and it's just unfair because that's a way of attempting to liquidate history, and history is so important to our future. And so haves and have-nots, right? How is it some African going just because he got some money all of a sudden become a part of the colonizing nation, and the colonizer just because he broke one day is all of a sudden now colonized? Let's get out of here. That's like they have short giraffes. Did you know that they got short neck giraffes? But guess what? Just because the giraffe neck don't get longer than other giraffes, that don't make him no horse. He's still a giraffe. And they have some tall or some relatively large Pomeranians, which is normally a pocket purse, toy dog, whatever they call them, that bites. But some of them get big, but it's still a damn Pomeranian. So it's this notion that just because somehow you get a little bigger, you're a little smaller, you all of a sudden switch breeds is absolute nonsense. And we got to move the break, but before we do, I wanted to talk about this other colonizer who called in. Now, that was one colonizer called in with that colonizer crap, and this other one gonna call in. This is what made me ask the white people who love to raise up Martin Luther King and all these other people. And I saw somebody in the comments say they put Angela in jail. Yeah, but the real do you know why Angela went to jail? Angela had no allegiance to the Black Power struggle. Her allegiance was based on some kind of subjective romantic relationship she thought she had with brother in the movement. And she was Angela. Somebody accused her of getting the guns Jonathan Jackson used to run up in Marin County Courthouse, and along with some comrades, and tape a shotgun to a judge's neck and let them know, gentlemen, we taking over from here. And so, but she had no real allegiance to our struggle. It's just she was able to exploit that type of publicity, if you will, and use it much unlike our dear beloved sister Assata, who still right now has to hide even in Cuba. And that's the point. If somehow Negroes becoming rich and prominent or something like that changed the position of who is colonized and who ain't, Assata would still have to hide in Cuba. Mumia would not be dying in prison. Been in prison for almost 50 years or something like that. He wouldn't be in prison dying. Sundiata Acoli wouldn't be in prison fighting for his life if all it took was some African getting to be rich and prominent. But this other colonizer called in and had the nerve to say, "You sound angry. You sound angry. If Martin Luther King Jr. heard you, he would be rolling over in his grave right now." This colonizer probably don't even know what Martin Luther King Jr. buried. Talking about Martin Luther King Jr. would be rolling in his grave. Well, what I do know about most colonizers who invoke Martin Luther King Jr.'s name is that they only know what Martin Luther King Jr. said, some of the stuff he said in 1963, right? When he was in his, mid-30s? Young man, 1963. And he believed in, he had a certain kind of, I think he believed that nonviolent stuff he talked about in 1963. I believe in 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had some hope that peace and could prevail without serious, vigorous struggle between the slave and the slave master. I believe he thought that. But what most white people who like to talk about King when it's to their advantage don't do is talk about the stuff King said towards the end of his life. Dr. King wrote a book in 1967. This book right here. Where do we go from here? I don't know if you can see. Where do we go from here? Chaos or community? And so, because I read books, unlike most of the white people who just like to throw African people's names around when they're, it's to their advantage, I was able to go to a page in a chapter and tell this colonizer how Martin thought about what Martin would have been saying if he could do anything in his grave or from his grave, what he might say with respect to what I put down on that program that this colonizer deemed to be so angry. And when we get back from break, I'm going to read that to you, and I think we're going to go ahead and move close towards closing out the show, man. I've had a great time. I appreciate the call. You can call in too and be a big star at 813-444 958. Did I get it right? 9588. Yeah. 813-444-9588. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
Smoothing out your favorite R&B flavors.
What's your flavor? Tell me what's your flavor?
In Touch Radio.
This brutal weather that we experience every year in Florida leaves hundreds of residents needing repairs to their property. If your home has been damaged or needs remodeling, leave it to the professionals. Call Reeves Building, Plumbing, and Roofing at 813-238-6197. That's 813-238-6197. Reeves Building, Plumbing, and Roofing have been serving the community for 43 years. Reeves Building, Plumbing, and Roofing is a proud sponsor of Jazz at Miss Connie's house.
All right. So, it's been a while. Actually, that's not true. I'm going to say it's been a while since we've read on the show, but I think we just read from my book last week. That was kind of like a poem or something. But so, yeah. Where do we go from here? Martin Luther King Jr. wrote this book in 1967. Why is that important, you say? Glad you asked. Our brother Malcolm X lived from May 19th, 1925 until February 25th. No, is that right? 25 until February, I can't remember. Anyway, February 21st. Huh? No, Malcolm. What I said, Martin? So I'm Malcolm. Yeah, no. Malcolm was born May 19th, 1925 and lived until February 21st, 1965. And didn't make it to his 40th birthday, right? Neither he nor Martin. But when Malcolm died in 1965, when they murdered Malcolm in 1965, they being the American government through some bandit Negroes, killed Malcolm in 1965. Out of that murder emerged a different kind of spirit and tone amongst African people, and Africans began to call for black power. You didn't hear these words coming from Martin. You didn't hear Martin demanding black power, but you hear this buzz amongst young people after Malcolm meets his untimely death, if you will, for this demand for black power coming from organizations like SNCC. And one of the persons, the first person really credited with popularizing, coining the demand for black power is a brother named Willie Ricks, now affectionately known as Mukasa Dada. I've had the privilege of meeting Mukasa. The way he tells the story is it's inimitable. So I won't even try to tell it like Mukasa does. But when he does tell the story, he talks about how he couldn't no longer deal with this timid kind of demand for integration and just to be included and stuff. He said he couldn't go for it. And so he started calling for black power, and he took a sheet, something like some kind of cloth, and put a Black Panther on it, and hung it outside the digs they were in Lowndes County, Alabama. And all the way from Lowndes County, Alabama, brothers out in Oakland, California in 1966 saw this demand for black power coming from the South, coming from these Negroes in the South, angry Negroes in the South, and formed the Black Panther Party, right? And so now, after the Black Panther Party has been in effect for about a year or so, Martin Luther King Jr. writes this book. And the chapter from which I am about to read is called Black Power. Martin Luther King Jr., Black Power. Now, Martin says, once during the afternoon, we stopped to sing We Shall Overcome. The voices rang out with all the traditional fervor, the glad thunder, and gentle strength that had always characterized the singing of this noble song. But when we came to the stanza, which speaks of black and white together, the voices of a few of the marchers were muted. I asked them later why they refused to sing that verse. The retort was, and this is Martin quoting the retort was, this is a new day. We don't sing those words anymore. In fact, the whole song should be discarded. Not we shall overcome, but we shall overrun. As I listened to now this is Martin talking again, as I listened to these comments, the words fell on my ears like strange music from a foreign land. My hearing was not attuned to the sound of such bitterness. I guess I should not have been surprised. I should have known that in an atmosphere where false promises are daily realities, where deferred dreams are nightly facts, where acts of unpunished violence toward Negroes are a way of life, nonviolence would eventually be seriously questioned. I should have been reminded that disappointment produces despair and despair produces bitterness, and that the one thing certain about bitterness is its blindness. Bitterness has not the capacity to make the distinction between some and all. When some members of the dominant group, particularly those in power, are racist in attitude and practice, bitterness accuses the whole group. As Malcolm once said, if a snake bites your child, you don't go out there and look for the snake with the blood on his jaw. Any old snake will do. Any old snake will do. And so, when you're getting bit, when the dog bites you, yeah, when the dog bites you, you gotta, be angry. And I like to think that I'm the angriest of them all. So as I move to a close, I said that I'm going to do a word from the word. At least I posted that in the Facebook joint. And so it's going to be like a small little word from the word. What I'll say, though, leading up to it, did I talk about my friend who died last week? Did I talk about that? All right. So, last week I got a call, or since the last show, I got a phone call that a friend of mine, I will call him a friend, died. Just a year younger than I. Relatively unexpected, I would imagine. And so definitely my thoughts and hopefully our entire community's thoughts and well wishes and support will flow towards the family of Leon Breeze. That was what we called him. That's what he called himself, Breeze. Leon Breeze Williams. He eventually called himself Sundiata. And good brother. Well read, at least enough to be one of the most brilliant and creative writers I've known. And so we're going to miss him. I had a conversation, though, with another guy I've known just as long as I've known Breeze. And, this guy tried to pigeonhole me, if you will, in a certain kind of way. And so I brought that marginalization up to another friend of mine, and this friend of mine told me that some people want to know who the hell I am anyway. Who do I think I am, right? Who you think you am? They don't never ask me though. They're always asking somebody else. They want to know who you think you are anyway. Well, my word from the word is I remember the story of this poor old man with sores that would it's in the Bible. He would lay outside the gate and beg. The dogs would lick his sores, and he would eat the food from the rich man. And the rich man, was kind of horrible to this poor guy. The rich guy, I guess, had no idea who this guy was. And I think this guy's name was Lazarus, too, not to be necessarily confused or conflated with the same Lazarus that the Bible talks about stayed in a tomb for 3 days, like some of y'all dead people who have yet to emerge from the tomb. But anyway, so as time went on, Lazarus died, as did the rich man. But Lazarus ended up in a lofty place, cool place. And this rich man lifted up his eyes in hell and had to beg Lazarus just for some cooling water to parch his tongue, just a drop. And we're going to deal with that next week. This whole idea about how people get confused sometimes about who you are because they are confused about who they are. And somebody asked me today, well, life, who the hell are you? My response was simply this: I am the barrel of the gun, the elephant in the room, the last to kiss my son and place dirt on his tomb. That's who the hell I am. And I promise you, the day is coming when those who chose not to respect will beg or perish. And that's all I got to say about that. Look here, have a very happy Malcolm X Day tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday on the Life Malcolm Show. I promise you, it's going to be a doozy. To be continued, y'all.